Hi everyone, my name is Ron Bautista. I'm the president of Progressive Democrats of Hudson County, and today we have another conversation with a Progressive County Committee for the Democratic Party candidate, Mary Beth Botts. And Mary Beth, before we start, I'll just give a little housekeeping, points. We want to be inclusive, so I'll start with a description of myself. I have short hair, clear glasses, short facial hair, dark navy blue shirt with a white background. And if you can hear in the background, that's my 3-year-old daughter. And I wanted to just give a little bit of background on Mary Beth before we get started. Mary Beth has lived in Jersey City Heights for the past 14 years and enjoys her career as a clinical social worker. She never had an interest in transition into politics, but she's very excited to help build a foundation for expanding democracy in Hudson County by representing Ward C, District 1 on the Democratic County Committee. She believes that a stronger Democratic Party, not controlled by traditional interests, will drive greater progress on increasing affordable housing, reimagining public safety, and prioritizing environmental justice. Love all of these. And Mary Beth understands that equity, social justice, and just joy must be centered in order to have a community where everyone can thrive, because none of us are okay unless all of us are okay. So, Mary Beth, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us and for running for office.
Thank you for having me, Ron. Yes, and you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about yourself and start with the description of your surroundings. I see beautiful plants on the back as well. So
Yes. So my name is, for everyone who's listening, my name is Mary Beth Botts. My pronouns are she, her. I have medium length, blondish brown hair. I'm wearing glasses. I have red cheeks because that's just what my skin does. I have a couple of my favorite plants behind me, and I hope my cats don't start to eat them because they're usually in a different location, but I thought they would look nice behind me. And I'm wearing a green shirt with umbrellas. I didn't have a meaning for it, but then I thought, what could the meaning be? Well, I love the idea that, just like in life, sometimes we have things that we need. Sometimes we need an umbrella, and that's okay. And so I really want that to be something that changes in our society, that it's okay that people need help sometimes. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Ron.
yeah, thanks. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us, those 17 years that you've been here. 17, right?
14.
Was it 14 years that you've been here in Jersey City? Tell us where you come from, your family, your background. We want to hear it all.
Okay. Well, that could take forever. I'm a good talker. I can talk forever. So,
Awesome.
but what I will say is, like you mentioned, I'm a clinical social worker. I love my job. I love my career. I specialize in mental health. Specifically now, I really keyed into perinatal mental health. So I love working with birthing people and their partners, making sure people are able to get the help that they need. And I could go on about that, I'm sure, but I won't. I am originally from Michigan. I grew up there. I have a lovely family, and I moved out here due to the economy in 2007. I think Jersey hadn't hit the, what's it called? The economic collapse at that time, but in Michigan it hit earlier. So I moved out here for work and started living here, and I loved it. And I've lived in the Heights for 14 years, the whole time I've been out here. And I just love Jersey City. I'm glad to be here. And yeah.
What kind of involvement have you had in the community? You've been very vocal with your conversations with your neighbors, and I just love your energy while you're campaigning, and how you really embody that, which we thrive to have as candidates, of like that interaction with the neighbors. So
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
So I got involved with local politics. I would say really over the past year, I've obviously paid attention to what goes on in Jersey City and Hudson County since I moved here. I was really struck by how things operate compared to where I'm from. It's very different. And I guess what I would say, with getting involved, in the campaign, it's hard for me to understand how a politician, somebody who's in office, somebody who has any sort of political power, is able to do a very good job for the people that they're representing unless they talk to people. You can absolutely be a politician, not talk to people. We see that in Hudson County all the time. You can also see people being politicians and talk to people, hear what they say, act like you're going to do something about it, and still get hired again or, elected again, even if you never did anything. So that's really frustrating to me, seeing that there's people who are in charge of the city, the county, who are in the state level government, national level government, who have no interest in what their neighbors are dealing with, have no interest in what the essential workers that we called heroes at the beginning of the pandemic are dealing with. I'm an essential worker, I'm a healthcare worker, and I found that really frustrating, seeing at the very beginning of the pandemic, seeing how it just really blew up into stark relief, the way our system is built to advantage the few at the expense of the many. And they called people heroes, and here we can't even pass a $15 minimum wage. So we know that valuing people in words is very easy, but actually doing something behind that is a lot harder. And so I think there's a lot of barriers to getting really good things done. And so, one thing I decided that I could do is to run for this position. I have no interest in becoming a politician, but I can do this. I can have my job and still do this.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's what we need more of, right? We need more normal people who are not, doing like politicians as a career politicians, but some people that actually care for other community, that are from the community, that and I hear you that it's tough maneuvering local politics and having a full-time job at the same time, and that's exactly why we wanted to make sure that at Progressive Democrats of Hudson County that nobody starts from scratch, right? That you have the tools and something that they would tell me back in the day when I wanted to run for office is like, basically you have to not work for the last 2 months of the campaign in order for you to run for office. And I'm like, what kind of working person is able to do no income for 2 months to run for office? So
nobody depends paycheck to paycheck. Nobody can do that.
Yeah, and that's why it's a very selected few with a ton of money from we don't know where that are usually able to run for office. So this is great. And something you mentioned was like being essential workers and being in the medical field. It's you're a young professional. You're in the healthcare industry. Like that should make some people think that that person is okay. It's set. But like I'm a young professional too, and I always bring it up is like I struggle to pay rent in Hudson County. Like and I know that affordability is a big issue for you. So if you could talk to us about that as well.
Yes, absolutely. So, when I moved here in 2007, rents were really reasonable. I could have maybe afforded, well, not at that salary because I was bachelor's level at that time. But, I'm a young professional. I have a master's degree. And I lived with roommates up until the past year. I could not afford to live on my own if I didn't want to be house poor, if I didn't want to really be paycheck to paycheck. And that's a major issue. Like, I know social workers aren't paid well, consider they have a master's degree, and that's a whole other issue. But many people my age, I'm a elder millennial, can't afford to live here anymore. I have friends who've moved out of town. And I was talking to a resident today about, her living situation and how does she like the neighborhood and any issues that are coming up for her. And she said, well, I have a pretty good situation here. My landlord's pretty good, and she made a face, and I was like, okay. She's like, but I am afraid to say anything, complain about anything, because, if he were to retaliate, I would not be able to afford the rents around here. So this is a woman with kids who lives in a place that's probably mostly fine. But even people in those situations are afraid to speak up for themselves because of the lack of affordability around here. I was calling to the city council meetings this past year, really, really pushing and pressuring and saying, hey, this is an affordable housing crisis. We have all these people who are not being evicted because of COVID. We're on the brink of a homelessness crisis. We need affordable housing in the area. We need to do everything we can to make sure that there's enough affordable housing for our residents. And they put together an inclusionary zoning ordinance that has no teeth, that they can really just wave off for any developer they care to. And we know the city's history with that. We know that the city very heavily favors the developers over the residents of this county. And if you look at the AMI, you look at how much people make around here because they've done all this development, because they've brought in all these more wealthy residents, and 80% AMI is not even it's not affordable for someone like me or someone similar to my income. So it's really just, it's really unfortunate, and a lot of change needs to happen. And I'm willing to be as much of a change operator as I can, but I'm not ignorant to the fact that it's going to take a lot more than a few people on the county committee.
Yeah, no, and shout out to Chris Gadsden too. He's commenting right now. He's saying hello, and he's seen your advocacy.
Hi, Chris.
And saying keep up the great work. And something I would have conversations with Chris recently was community land trust. So even since when I ran for county now as commissioner, and before that when I was running for city council also in Hoboken, I was pushing for a community land trust. And basically what I was saying is, like, at the county level and in Hoboken too, there's already a trust for open space and parks. And I'm saying, if we have a trust for public space and parks, why don't we have the same thing for affordable homes? And affordable homes that are not just, because sometimes we think, and that's how they pin against each other, people who are lower income, people who are working class as well, because there's usually like, oh, it's only one stream or the other. And I don't know if you've come across this, but sometimes when it's like, Section 8, they say, hey, so I can make above this much because then they raise my rent. And then was it worth it?
Right.
I mean, and I don't mean to take too much of that conversation, but I even had a friend that we went to Hoboken High School together. She got her degree. She lived in the housing authority all her life. And as soon as she got a job after her bachelor's at Ernst & Young, they said, oh, now we have to raise your rent. And she said, at what point do I get to pay off my student loans, save money for my own home, if you're right away you're hitting me with a bill when I'm just started to live my income? And I think that many of us can relate to that.
Absolutely. It costs money to be poor. It's expensive to be poor. That's not an idea that I came up with. That's an idea that people have been talking about a long time. It's very expensive to be poor. And, it's wild because once you're eligible for help, you can get some help. But then there's this very large gap between, being eligible for help and really needing it still. The system is pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty broken, definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, absolutely. And like you were saying, you didn't want to take up too much of my time. Like, I really don't care about myself as a politician. I got excited about doing this kind of work, organizing, building a movement in the community. And I think I got more hopeful about it after volunteering with Hector Oseguera's campaign, you know, like, and he was talking about, I think he used the phrase, we, not me. And that's what it's about, like this identity politics, this people, you know, going into politics because they need attention, they're narcissistic, they want power, and they gravitate towards people who they perceive as powerful and give up all of their morals if they had any to begin with. You know, it's really sad. And so I really gravitated towards that idea. I like that idea. So it's not about me. I'm happy to have you join the conversation because it is a conversation. It's about building awareness, political awareness, the need for social change, understanding how we've been taught about the way things run, and the education that we've been given is incorrect. Mm-hmm. You know, in my lifetime, the economy has gone like this, right? So wealthy people are making this much more money, and people like me, middle class and below, are staying at the same, right? We're not getting any wage increases, but billionaires keep growing their wealth. And productivity has risen, right? So we're expected to do more work, and we're getting not paid. We're actually getting paid less if you look at the value of money, right? So it's, we were taught that that's how it should be, right? We were taught that we need to protect businesses because they give us jobs. We were taught that we shouldn't demand more as workers because we should be grateful that we have jobs. So I just think it's important for us all to continue having conversations so that we can affect real societal change, not just electing somebody who looks really good and then they can't do anything because there's not enough political power for them.
Yeah, and the reason why we approached the running for office off the line for the committee was because there's already a system going on, and we have to see how we battle within the system that we have. So an institutional brand like the Hudson County Democratic Organization, we need a counterpart because for a long time we've been divided and running on our own as progressives. So that is one of the ideas. But something that you said on Twitter, I had to quote tweet, which was like, "I don't have a boss," and I was like
that one.
and I was like, yes, exactly. Like just because you or Lauren or all these candidates who are running for office. And we've told the people from the beginning, it's like, we're not the new machine. We're actually here to enhance you because we don't take money from corporate interests or developers. The candidates don't take any money from corporate interests or developers. That means that our influence really relies on each other. So that's the concept that we're trying to project, is that no, there is no boss. There is collaboration. There's the more influencers in local politics, the more local activists that also already have that political leverage of having been elected, or that have a way to mobilize people within their communities, the more that we're able to leverage that power in order to make that change at the local level, local government, county government, etc.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
And,
yeah, I mean, that was such an interesting exchange. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a boss. And I've been very clear about that. You know, like I really appreciate the resources that PDHC has offered to candidates that are bracketing with them, right? That's why I bracketed with you guys, because I really appreciate that you are trying to build that structure, that strong opposition to the political machine as it is. And you know, but I didn't get involved with local politics through you guys. I'm not beholden to you. You know, there's no boss within this system. And, you know, like I'm involved also with the Hudson County Progressive Alliance. I've done some organizing with, you know, I really respect the organizing work of Solidarity Jersey City. They do mutual aid work. I really respect the work of Black Men United. I really respect the work of the Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition. Like there's a lot of people doing important work in this city, mobilizing people on different things, right? And organizing people on different things. So yeah, it's not about any particular group. It's not about any particular person. It's about working together to affect change that's really going to make a difference for people in their everyday lives.
Yeah, and every organization, like you said, have the different focuses and the different approaches. It's just making sure we are keeping the channels open of conversation and pushing in the same direction of getting more people, more power in order to make that change in the communities.
Yeah.
We are running out of time. I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure that you have a moment to describe your district. Like, what are the streets that compose it? Any points of reference? So, if you could give us that.
Of course. So I'm in Ward C, District 1, which is surrounded. So the reservoir is a major point of reference, and I feel very lucky that the reservoir is inside just our district. We definitely have a great advocacy group there, the Reservoir Preservation Alliance. And then we move east from there to Baldwin, and then north to Reservoir Ave, which is just at the south end of Pershing Field, and then over to Summit Ave. So that's the general shape of it. It's not exactly a square or rectangle. There's a little bit of a cutout in there because we like to do things like that. But yeah, that's general area.
Got it. And if you could tell us, like, just as a closing conversation, something that you want to tell the voters, people who are listening, that you would like to share.
Well, I am very happy to have today finished knocking on every single door in the district. Yeah, I feel very proud of that. I'm running alone, so that was a lot of work. But I got to have great conversations with a ton of people. And I just want to say to anyone who I didn't get a chance to talk to, or anyone who wants to follow up from our conversation, I would love to hear from you. You can reach me at votemarybethbotts@gmail.com. You can email me there. I'm happy to respond. You can also find me on Twitter, mbbots for the number JC, and you can DM me there. I'm not, precious about that. So I would love to hear from all of you. Like I said, we can't really know how to represent people if we don't know what people need. So
perfect.
Hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Mary Beth.
Yeah.
Vote is June 8th on the Democratic primary election. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, everybody.